Bible in a Year Live Chronological Project, Week 35, Day 4, New American Standard Bible. Prophecies against neighboring nations. The pronouncement of the word of the Lord is against the land of Hadrach, with Damascus as its resting place, for the eyes of mankind, especially of all the tribes of Israel, are towards the Lord. And Hamath also, which borders on it. Tyre and Sidon, though they are very wise, for Tyre built herself a fortress, and piled up silver like dust, and gold like the mud of the streets. Behold, the Lord will dispossess her, and throw her wealth into the sea, and she will be consumed with fire. Akelon will see it and be afraid. Gaza too will writhe in great pain. Also Ekron, because her hope has been ruined. Moreover, the king will perish from Gaza, and Ashkelon will not be inhabited. And the people of the mixed origins will live in Ashdod. And I will eliminate the pride of the Philistines. And I will remove their blood from their mouth, and their detestable things from between their teeth. Then they also will be remnant of Orgod, and be like a clan in Judah, and Ekron will be like a Jebusite. But I will camp around my house because of an army, because of him who passes by and returns, and no oppressor will pass over them any more. For now I have seen with my eyes. Rejoice greatly, daughter of Zion. Shout in triumph, daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you. He is righteous and endowed with salvation, humble and mounted on a donkey, even on a colt, the foal of a donkey. And I will eliminate the chariot from Ephraim, and the horse from Jerusalem, and the bow of war will be eliminated. And he will speak peace to the nations, and his dominion will be from sea to sea, and from the Euphrates River to the ends of the earth. Restoration of Judah and Ephraim. As for you also, because of the blood of my covenant with you, I have set your prisoners free from the waterless pit. Return to the stronghold, you prisoners who have the hope. This very day I am declaring that I will restore double to you, for I will bend Judah as my bow. I will fill the bow with Ephraim, and I will stir up your sons, Zion, against your sons, Greece, and I will make you like a warrior's sword. Then the Lord will appear over them, and his arrow will go forth like lightning, and the Lord God will blow the trumpet, and march in the storm winds of the south. The Lord of armies will protect them, and they will devour and trample on the slingstones, and they will drink and be boisterous as with wine, and they will be filled like a sacrificial basin, drenched like the corners of the altar. And the Lord their God will save them on that day, as the flock of his people, for they are like the precious stones of a crown, sparkling in his hand. For how great will their loveliness and beauty be? Grain will make the young men flourish, and in new wine the virgins. God will bless Judah and Ephraim. Ask for rain from the Lord at the time of the spring rain, the Lord who makes the storm winds, and he will give them showers of rain, vegetation in the field to each person. For the household idols speak deception, and their diviners see an illusion and tell deceitful dreams. They comfort in vain. Therefore the people wander like sheep. They are wretched because there is no shepherd. My anger is kindled against the shepherds, and I will punish the male goats. For the Lord of armies has visited his flock, the house of Judah, and will make them like his majestic horse in battle. From them will come the cornerstone, from them the tent peg, from them the bow of battle, from them every tyrant, all of them together. And they will be like warriors, trampling down the enemy in the mud of the streets in battle. And they will fight because the Lord will be with them. and the riders on horses will be put to shame. And I will strengthen the house of Judah, and I will save the house of Joseph, and I will bring them back, because I have had compassion on them. And they will be as though I had not rejected them. For I am the Lord their God, and I will answer them. Ephraim will be like a warrior, and their heart will be joyful as if from wine. Indeed, their children will see it and be joyful. Their heart will rejoice in the Lord. I will whistle for them and gather them together, for I have redeemed them. And they will be as numerous as they were before. When I scatter them among the peoples, they will remember me in distant countries, and they with their children will live and come back. I will bring them back from the land of Egypt and gather them from Assyria, and I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, until no room can be found for them. And they will pass through the sea of distress, and he will strike the waves in the sea, so that all the depths of the Nile will dry up. And the pride of Assyria will be brought down, and the scepter of Egypt will depart, and I will strengthen them in the Lord, and in his name they will walk, declares the Lord. The doomed flock. Open your doors, Lebanon, so that a fire may feed on your cedars. Wail, juniper, because the cedar has fallen, for the magnificent trees have been destroyed. Wail, oaks of Bashan, because the impenetrable forest has come down. There is a sound of the shepherd's wail, for their splendor is ruined. There is a sound of the young lion's roar, for the pride of the Jordan is ruined. This is what the Lord my God says. Pasture the flock, doomed to slaughter. Those who buy them slaughter them and go unpunished, and each of those who sell them. Blessed be the Lord, for I have become rich, and their own shepherds have no compassion for them. For I will no longer have compassion for the inhabitants of the land, declares the Lord. But behold, I will let the people fall, each into another's power and into the power of his king, and they will crush the land, and I will not rescue them from their power. So I pasture the flock, doomed to slaughter. Therefore also the afflicted of the flock. And I took for myself 2 staffs, the one I called Favor, and the other I called Union. So I pasture the flock. Then I did away with the 3 shepherds in 1 month, for my soul was impatient with them, and their souls also was tired of me. Then I will not pasture you. What is to die, let it die, and what is to perish, let it perish, and let those who are left eat one another's flesh. And I took my staff, Favor, and cut it in pieces to break my covenant which I had made with all the peoples. So it was broken on that day, and so the afflicted of the flock who were watching me realized that it was the word of the Lord. And I said to them, if it is good in your sight, give my wages, but if not, never mind. So they weighed out 30 shekels of silver as my wages. Then the Lord said to me, throw it to the potter, that magnificent price at which I was valued by them. So I took their 30 shekels of silver and threw them to the potter in the house of the Lord. Then I cut in pieces my second staff, Union, to break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. And the Lord said to me, take again for yourself the equipment of a foolish shepherd, for behold, I am going to raise up a shepherd in the land who will not care for the perishing, seek the scattered, heal the broken, or provide for the one who is exhausted, but will devour the flesh of the fat sheep and tear off their hoofs. Woe to the worthless shepherd who abandons the flock. A sword will be upon his arm and on his right eye. His arm will be totally withered, and his right eye will be blind. Jerusalem to be attacked. The pronouncement of the word of the Lord concerning Israel. The Lord who stretches out the heavens lays the foundation of the earth and formed the spirit of a person within him, declares, Behold, I am going to make Jerusalem a cup that causes staggering to all the peoples around. And when the siege is against Jerusalem, it will also be against Judah. It will come about on that day that I will make Jerusalem a heavy stone for all the peoples. All who lift it will injure themselves severely, and all the nations of the earth will be gathered against it. On that day, declares the Lord, I will strike every horse with confusion and its rider with insanity. But I will watch over the house of Judah, while I strike every horse of the peoples with blindness. Then the clans of Judah will say in their hearts, The inhabitants of Jerusalem are a strong support for us through the Lord of armies, their God. On that day I will make the clans of Judah like a fire pot among pieces of wood and a flaming torch among sheaves. So they will consume on the right and on the left all the surrounding peoples, while the inhabitants of Jerusalem again live on their own sites in Jerusalem. The Lord also will save the tents of Judah first, so that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem will not be greater than Judah. On that day the Lord will protect the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the one who is feeble among them on that day will be like David, and the house of David will be like God, like the angel of the Lord before them. And on that day I will seek to destroy all nations that come against Jerusalem. I will pour out on the house of David and on the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of pleading, so that they will look at me, whom they pierced, and they will mourn for him, like one mourning for an only son. And they will weep bitterly over him, like bitter weeping over a firstborn. On that day the mourning in Jerusalem will be great, like the mourning of Hadadrimmon in the plain of Megiddo. The land will mourn, every family by itself, the family of the house of David by itself, and their wives by themselves, the family of the house of Nathan by itself, and their wives by themselves, the family of the house of Levi by itself, and their wives by themselves, the family of the Shimeites by itself, and their wives by themselves, all the families that are left, every family by itself, and their wives by themselves. False prophets ashamed. On that day a fountain will be opened for the house of David and for the inhabitants of Jerusalem, for sin and for defilement. And it will come about on that day, declares the Lord of armies, that I will eliminate the names of the idols from the land, and they will be no longer remembered. And I will also remove the prophets and the unclean spirit from the land. And if anyone still prophesies, then his father and mother who gave birth to him will say to him, You shall not live, because you have spoken falsely in the name of the Lord. And his father and mother who gave birth to him shall pierce him through when he prophesies. Also, it will come about on that day that the prophets will each be ashamed of his vision when he prophesies. And they will not put on a hairy robe in order to deceive. But he will say, I am not a prophet, I am a cultivator of the ground, because a man sold me as a slave in my youth. And someone will say to him, What are these wounds between your arms? Then he will say, Those with which I was wounded at the house of my friends. Awake, sword, against my shepherd and against the man my associate, declares the Lord of armies. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. And I will turn my hand against the little ones, and it will come about in the land, declares the Lord, that 2 parts in it will be cut off and perish, and the third will be left in it. And I will bring the third part through the fire. Refine them as silver is refined, and test them as gold is tested. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people, and they will say, the Lord is my God. God will battle Jerusalem's enemies. Behold, a day is coming for the Lord when the spoils taken from you will be divided among you. For I will gather all the nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city will be taken, the houses plundered, the women raped, and half of the city exiled. But the rest of the people will not be eliminated from the city. Then the Lord will go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fights on a day of battle. On that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, which is in front of Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives will be split in its middle from east to west, forming a large valley. Half of the mountain will move toward the north, and the other half toward the south. And you will flee by the valley of my mountains, for the valley of the mountains will reach to Azel. Yes, you will flee just as you have fled from the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. Then the Lord my God will come, and all the holy ones with him. On that day there will be no light. The luminaries will die out, for it will be a unique day which is known to the Lord, neither day nor night, but it will come about at the time of evening. There will be light. And on that day, living waters will flow out of Jerusalem, half of them toward the eastern sea, and the other half toward the western sea. It will be in summer as well as in winter. God will be king over all. And the Lord will be king over all the earth. On that day, the Lord will be the only one, and his name the only one. All the land will change into a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem. But Jerusalem will rise and remain on its site from Benjamin's gate as far as the place of the first gates to the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananel to the king's wine presses. People will live in it, and there will no longer be a curse, for Jerusalem will live in security. Now this will be the plague with which the Lord will strike all the peoples who have gone to war against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they stand on their feet, and their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongue will rot in their mouth. And it will come about on that day that a great panic from the Lord will fall on them, and they will seize one another's hand, and the hand of one will be raised against the hand of another. Judah will fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the surrounding nations will be gathered, gold, silver, and garments in great abundance. And just like this plague, there will be a plague on the horse, the mule, the camel, the donkey, and all the cattle that will be in those camps. Then it will come about that any who are left of all the nations that came against Jerusalem will go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of armies, and to celebrate the Feast of Booths. And it will be that whichever of the families of the earth does not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of armies, there will be no rain on them. And if the family of Egypt does not go up or enter, then no rain will fall on them. It will be the plague with which the Lord strikes the nation that do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Booths. There will be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all nations that do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Booths. On that day there will be inscribed on the bells of the horses, Holy to the Lord. And the cooking pots in the Lord's house will be like the bowls before the altar. Every cooking pot in Jerusalem and in Judah will be holy to the Lord of armies. And all who sacrifice will come and take of them and boil in them. And there will no longer be a Canaanite in the house of the Lord of armies on that day.